So I'm going to talk about my application process to hygiene school. Just to recap a little bit, I'm in an accelerated program, which is a 17-month program. Prerequisites included in the program, very fast-paced type of thing. So the reason I decided to go to do an accelerated program is because I did not come from a family who was fortunate enough to pay for my education. So I had to do it all by myself. Except for in dental assisting school, my parents did help me out a little bit. They helped me out with as much as they could, but pretty much I'm paying still, I should say, paying for that myself. So I wanted to get some kind of certificate so that I can work and still, go to school part-time or whatever. And the thing about dentistry is that hardly is there any kind of like part-time jobs. It's either full-time or like you're off maybe one day a week, like a Friday. Some offices are closed on Fridays. So I didn't realize that until I was in the practice for a while, and I wasn't complaining either because I was making money and I was working every day, and I really enjoyed what I was doing. I still enjoy what I do. So I never got around to applying to the community colleges and taking my prerequisites and all that, and then applying to a 4-year or even 2-year hygiene program. I was living and working in Palm Springs, and the closest hygiene school that was not an accelerated program was Loma Linda. And not only is that school very prestigious and very strict and very, very, very all the berries, it's very expensive. So I just thought, like, I really don't have the time to do it. Like, I just wanted to get in, do it as fast as I can. I'm a fast learner, and I'm passionate and I'm dedicated, so I knew like that an accelerated program was gonna be the best and the right choice for me. So that's what I did. So when I started inquiring, and it's gonna be kind of negative what I'm saying, but not so negative. I just look back on it and I'm glad that things happened the way they happened. But when I first started school, I didn't have like the best impression of my school. I was calling campuses and trying to get information, like to set up a campus tour, because these reps, they call you to try and recruit you, to set you up for campus tours and things like that. So I was trying to get in, but I always had something going on, like I was not going to be in town or whatever, like, and it wasn't working out. And every time that I would call and I would ask them, like, well, is there a cutoff date, a deadline, and they would, each time they would tell me like, oh, well, they will let you know when you take the tour. And I'm guessing that they told me that because these are people probably like in Kansas or something, like on the East Coast, who don't know, how the schedulings are. But anyway, so when I finally was able to get a weekend that I could go and visit a campus and like do the tour and all that stuff, the recruiter was like, okay, laying it out. And I had already done my own research on the school and like what I needed to do, and like I had like a little bit of a taste of it. So I was going in there like ready to sign all the paperwork. I'm gonna start, blah blah, and they did tell me once I made an appointment at a certain campus when their start date was, and it was in September. And that's when I started, was in September 2016. And they what was I saying? So when I went in, all, guns a-blazing, ready to sign my life away, my recruiter was like, okay, well, the interviewing process for applicants to get all this paperwork, signed and turned in is on Thursday. And it was a Tuesday when I was there. I was like, I had no idea. So I was a little bit upset that they were not able to give me more accurate information when I was first inquiring, because I hadn't known, if I had known that, I would have made different plans to visit the campus sooner, so I would have had more time to get my things organized. However, I will say the type of person that I am is that I'm kind of glad that there was an urgency, because if I would have put it off, maybe I wouldn't have got everything in so quickly, maybe that went in my advantage. I'm just trying to be positive, but, it was, to my advantage. I was able to get everything in that they needed. And I have a list, actually, of the things that they needed, but just from the top of my head, they go off like a point system. So, dental experience. Each year that you have of dental experience, they give you a certain amount of points. If you have any college credits, if you have a degree, if you have all the, a reference, if you have, there's a lot of different things that add up to, and also if you don't have a degree, like I didn't have a degree, they go off of your high school grade. So I had to get my official transcripts from my high school, so they can see what type of grades you had in high school, and like in studies like the sciences, pretty much like any sciences that you took, and math and things like that. So yeah, they take all of that into consideration, and you sit down in front of the program director with all your paperwork, and she kind of goes over all the paperwork, tallies off, like, okay, she's got this, so many years, and you have to get like letters from each office that you worked at, just to prove that you were there. And then you had to shadow a hygienist, and I was lucky enough that my hygienist who I worked with, she signs it off for me, because I did shadow her, because I was assisting her in other offices and things like that. But anyways, so you go over that, and then she goes, well, this is how my interview went. She went through like a list of questions, kind of like testing out who you were, and beforehand they give you a list of the questions that she could possibly ask you, or the person, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna say she, because who your program director is could possibly ask you. And so you're a little bit prepared, and you have to go very business like. And so anyways, so I went through my interview, and I was so nervous, which is weird because I usually do very well in interviews. I was just really nervous because, like, I don't know why I was so nervous. I mean, there's a good reason, because if I didn't get in, I just flipped my entire life upside down for no reason, I guess that's why I was nervous. But anyway, so you leave the interview not sure how you feel about it. She didn't tell me how many points I acquired, because I think like the most points you can get is 25. And she didn't tell me how many points I had, but I was kind of like tallying in my head from the checklist and what I had, so I had like an idea of how many points I had, but it's not just that. It's not just solely on points. It's not like on your interview and and things like that. What made me, I remember what it was. What made me so nervous. When we were in the middle of the interview, she got a phone call, because remember the day of the deadline, that was the last day that I could get my interview in for this coming term. And she got a phone call from somebody, I'm sure it was one of the recruiters downstairs, asking if they could squeeze another interview in. And so I can't hear what they're saying, but I'm just going off what she was saying. She told them, okay, well, what does he have, And she said, oh, it's just his RDA? And how many years has he been an RDA? That's only 1 point, you know, like, I think it was just like 1 year. She's like, that's only 1 point that he has. I have some applicants right now that have 24 points, and oh my god, my stomach dropped. I'm like, because I'm trying to count in my head, and I'm like 12, 13. I don't even know how many points. Still to this day, I don't know how many points. And I'm like, oh my god, you know, like, oh my god, like 24 points out of 25. Like, you're kidding me. Like, oh my god. So she hung up and she apologized because she's like, oh, I'm sorry, you know, like, maybe you shouldn't have heard that. And I was like, no, you know, like, you think. But it didn't discourage me, but I was just like, oh my god, like, this is why I said in my previous video, I sit back and I'm just like, wow, you know, like, my colleagues, you know, they're so smart, you know. So I feel very, you know, humbled to be there. But anyway, so I did the interview, and I left not knowing exactly how to feel, like I said, and I was just so nervous, and it was like the longest week of my life, and I still didn't know if I got in until I had to go back for a financial aid appointment. And oh, this is one thing which I didn't like about the school, because I didn't know, because nobody told me, and I had asked. I need to know everything up front, you know. When I made another appointment with my recruiter to come back and do the financial aid portion, like if I get accepted type of thing, and when I came back from my financial aid appointment, when I made the appointment, he said, oh, and at this time, this is when you bring in your $600 deposit. And I was like, my what? My, you know, like, excuse me? And then he's like, so, you know, when we put people down for their appointments, for their interview, we want to make sure that we're only taking in people who are absolutely serious about entering the hygiene program. So we have them put down a $500 deposit and a $100 application fee. If you get accepted, it goes towards your tuition. If you don't get accepted, the money is refunded back to you. I'm like, okay, seems fair, but why didn't anybody tell me about this? Why am I just learning about this at the end of my tour when I'm ready to, like, sign? I have all my paperwork, like, and not that I had been accepted yet, but I was ready to just sign up already and start my interviewing process and get, you know, everything ready for my interview. Why is this the last thing that was mentioned to me? Because I had told my recruiter up front, look, I need to know, you know, I'm paying for all of this myself, you know, like, I don't have help. I need to know exactly everything that I need, anything that's going to help me get in, you know, everything up front. Please be upfront about everything that I'm going to need when I start, or, you know, to get myself started. And he never mentioned that until the end, when we were trying to set up the appointment for the interview and the appointment for the financial aid. So he said, you know what? Okay, look, right now, we'll set the appointments, because he would not set the appointment unless I had the money. And I was like, oh yeah, sure, let me just write you a check for that, you know, like I just had $600 laying around. But anyways, so he said, I'll set you the appointment. Don't worry about it right now. He's like, if you can get all your paperwork in, if you can get it all done, and you are serious, call me tomorrow or the day after, because I'm telling you, this is Tuesday and my interview was on Thursday. So I was like, he's like, start on it today. Wednesday when it comes, you know, let me know on Wednesday so that I can confirm your appointment for Thursday. And I'm like, shoot, you know. So I'm like, and I asked him, I'm like thinking, like, you know, maybe I have to wait. Maybe I'm gonna have to wait until school, because I don't have the money, you know. Oh my god, I don't have the money. I'll just have to raise it. So I asked him, when is the next time that you guys are gonna be accepting students? And he said, next May 2017. And I was like, oh, I am not waiting I'm not waiting that long, you know, like to apply again. I was like, I'm serious about this. And so I went home and I asked my family members to invest in me, and they did. You know, thank God I have a few people in my family who they gave me the money. They donated the money to me, you know, because I was so serious about starting this. So fast forward to day of my financial aid appointment. My interview had already happened. It's my financial aid appointment. We do the whole thing. They tell me, they do the breakdown, and they're very clear about financial aid. FAFSA is very, like, you know, cut and dry. They just tell you this, whatever. Okay, so then she says, well, to submit it, we're gonna need that $600 deposit. And I was like, I was just like giving it to them, you know. Because I'm just thinking in my brain, like, that $600 deposit, like, oh my God, you know what I could do with that money, you know? But whatever. It's an investment. So they did it. I paid them. We left back home. Oh, because I went with my boyfriend. Fiance, boyfriend, whatever. We went back home. On my drive home, I got the phone call to let me know that I was accepted. They had already made their decision, but I needed to be cleared through financial aid for them to let me know that I was accepted into the program. And I almost made my boyfriend crash his car because I was so excited. But yeah, so I'm running out of light here, so I'm just gonna end this really long video now, and I'm gonna try and touch base on every aspect that I went through. So yeah, have a good day, everybody.